What's up, guys? For today's video, I got a quick one for you. I get a lot of comments on my trailer restoration videos about grease guns and things like that. So I just wanted to go through and open up one brand new from the box, set it up with a can of grease, and get it going. The one I'm using today is from Jon Boat. I've used a lot of their products in the past, and I've had nothing but good experiences with it. So I'm really hoping that their grease gun is going to live up to that same quality. Right, so in the box here, it looks like we have everything we're going to need. I bought a can of grease separately. This is a 14-ounce grease gun, so you're going to be using the 14-ounce can of grease. This has a precision grease fitting. There are certain fittings that work with these here. It also has a hose fitting, which is the one I'm going to be using. This works really well when you're dealing with trailers and boats because you can kind of turn it and get it into the position you want. All right, well, I'm just going to go ahead with the cylinder one. This is what I had on my other grease gun that worked fine. I'll hang on to this one and use it as needed. This would be the end here, so I'm actually going to keep this cap on it. That's actually really useful. My other one didn't have that. And we're going to go ahead and tighten this on. All right, just put a little grease on the threads here. Just make sure this comes off easy if we ever need to remove it. Get that started. Let's use a small wrench to tighten it down. All right, I'm also going to use a wrench to tighten this down as well. Not going crazy with it, just make sure it's tight. All right, now with our grease hose installed, let's go ahead and install our grease can. Here's the part where a lot of people get confused on. When installing a grease can, you have to first unscrew the top. Now you have your grease plunger, which pushes it up to the top, so we got to pull that out. Now we have our grease tube, and you have to open the top and the bottom to push through design, like that. The opened end that had the cap goes in first. You'll see there's no metal ring on it. The metal ring goes on the top. We're going to go ahead and screw the top back on. It needs to be airtight for it to work. With your plunger pulled out, pull it back a little bit and it should release. And once this is released, you can push it back in and we can start pumping here. And what you're trying to do is purge it from air. That actually came out really easy. And then once you have grease coming out the tip, you're pretty much good to go. Now, if you run into the case where you're pumping and nothing's coming out, there's an air release valve here. If there's any trapped air, you can push that and it'll let it come out the top. With this all set up, let's go try it out and see how it works. All right, so if you guys have been following along with my channel, you'll know that I'm in the middle of a trailer restoration. At this point, I've got the trailer pretty much put back together. I'm wanting to purge the grease out of the hubs to make sure we got fresh grease working in here. I went to use my old grease gun and it was completely out of grease, so it was the perfect time to switch over to the new Jon Boat grease gun. So what I'm hoping to see is grease start coming out the front of it and not the back of it. That means that the rear seal is intact and that we're getting fresh grease on the spindle. And I am starting to see it purge out the front, which is great. And then we're gonna see all that old grease get pushed out. And then once we see the new grease come out, we'll know it's completely purged. There's a lot of old grease up in there. And now as you can see, we have the nice light blue grease or teal grease coming out all around it. So at this point, we have successfully purged the grease out of this hub. All right, and now that the grease has been completely purged, we have one less step to cap this off, and that would be these trailer grease caps, also from Jon Boat. Rather than leaving this exposed, one option is just getting a silicone cover to go on it, but what we can also do is use a grease cap here. And now that we know that the spindle and hub is completely greased from purging the old grease out, we can attach this on top, and that will protect the grease in a watertight way, plus give us the option of adding more grease on the front of it. So we have a larger fresh grease reservoir and we'll have a nice waterproof seal to seal it all up. So to install this, it goes on the same way the old one came off. I'm just gonna put a little bit of grease around the edge here so it slides in easy. It is pressure fit. We're gonna get it lined up on here and then we're just gonna tap it in. And then now we're gonna go ahead and fill this cap. It's gonna push this plunger out, and that way we'll know that we have a good grease-filled connection here. Okay, and now that we see the grease is starting to come out the, I guess you would call it a weep hole here, now we know that this is completely filled with grease and watertight within this cavity. And then now we can go ahead and put our cap on. And in the meantime of getting this installed, I went ahead and got the wheel cleaned up. So now we can get this installed back on. And with that, our wheel has been cleaned up, the hub has been re-greased, and a new bearing buddy has been installed. We are good to hit the water. And again, I use the Better Boat trailer grease caps. This is the 1.9 inch diameter. This fit the hub. It's also a really common size unless you have really big hubs. This is probably gonna be the size you're gonna need. We did all this using the Better Boat grease gun. I will have links in the description for both. All right, well, if you guys like this content, don't forget to subscribe. I've got a lot of cool things coming up really soon. For the trailer, as you can see here, I've got a collection of parts just waiting to get installed. I'm hoping to get started on this weekend. I have a new trailer winch, trailer jack, LED light kit, spare tire mount, and also I have all the parts of the trailer that need to get put back on and oriented to fit this boat. I have to do some adjustments because this boat was not sitting on the trailer in the way I would want it to, so I'm going to take you guys along with how I make those adjustments as well. As for the boat build, as soon as this trailer is done, I'm diving headfirst into this. I've been basically taking all winter to get my plans together on how I want to do this, and I finally have a really great idea on how I want to set this up. I'll go over more specific plans in the future, but the main thing I want to do is set this up to be as comfortable as possible using a tiller outboard. I've got my eye on a couple different options for the outboard itself, as well as the layout for the boat. So if you want to see how this boat turns out and watch it get back on the trailer and on the water, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.